What happens when a stranger storms onto your land, demands you leave, and doesn't realize you hold a power far greater than their bluster? The sun hung low over the rolling hills of my Montana ranch, painting the sky in hues of amber and crimson. The air carried the scent of pine and earth, a quiet promise of peace after a long day. I was mending a fence near the northern pasture, my hands calloused from years of working this land, when I heard the crunch of tires on gravel. A sleek black SUV roared up the dirt road, kicking up dust like a storm cloud with a vendetta. She marched toward me, her designer boots sinking into the soft earth, her oversized sunglasses perched like a crown on her head. "You," she barked, pointing a manicured finger at me. "You're trespassing on private property. Pack your things and get out before I call the authorities." Her voice was sharp, dripping with disdain, as if I were a stray dog defiling her pristine world. I leaned on my shovel, taking her in. She was broad-shouldered, her frame heavy with the kind of weight that comes from indulgence, not labor. Her face, flushed red, was a mask of fury, eyes narrowed, lips pursed into a thin, venomous line. I'd seen her type before, the kind who thinks volume equals authority. "Ma'am," I said, keeping my voice steady, "this is my ranch. Been in my family for 3 generations. I'm not going anywhere." Her laugh was a harsh, grating thing, like nails on a chalkboard. "Your ranch? Don't make me laugh. I'm Karen Whitaker, and I own this land now. Bought it last week. You're squatting, and I don't tolerate squatters." She pulled out her phone, waving it like a weapon. "One call, and the sheriff will drag you out." I felt a spark of anger, but kept it tethered. "You're mistaken," I said. "I've got the deed, the title, everything. This land's mine, clear as day." I gestured toward the house in the distance, its weathered timbers a testament to my family's roots. "Maybe you got scammed, but that's not my problem." Her eyes flashed with rage. "Scammed? You're the one trying to scam me. I paid good money for this property, and I'm not letting some dirty rancher ruin my plans." She stepped closer, her bulk looming, her voice rising to a shriek. "I'm turning this dump into a luxury retreat. You're in my way, and I always get what I want." I could have argued, shown her the paperwork, but something in her smug certainty told me she wouldn't listen. "Instead," I said, "let's settle this with the county. They've got the records." She smirked, clearly thinking she'd won, and stormed back to her SUV, promising to return with proof. I watched her go, the dust settling like the calm before a storm. That night, I sat on my porch, sipping coffee and staring at the stars. This ranch was more than land. It was my father's laughter, my mother's garden, my childhood carved into every tree. I wasn't just fighting for property, I was fighting for home. But Karen's words gnawed at me. Who was she? And how had she gotten it into her head that she owned my land? The next morning, she was back, this time with a man in a cheap suit, Mr. Hargrove, a real estate agent with a nervous tick and a clipboard. Karen stood beside him, arms crossed, her face a portrait of triumph. "Show him," she snapped. Hargrove fumbled with a stack of papers, muttering about a recent sale. I invited them inside, more curious than worried, and pulled out my own documents, deeds, tax records, all stamped and notarized. Hargrove's face paled as he read them. This doesn't add up," he stammered. "Ms. Whitaker, the seller you dealt with, Mr. Daniel, she might have misrepresented the property." Karen's jaw dropped, then snapped shut. "Misrepresented?" she roared. "I paid $2 million. You're all in on this, aren't you? You and this cowboy are trying to rob me." I raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, I'm no cowboy. I'm a clerk for the United States Supreme Court. Been working there remotely for years. I know a thing or two about legal documents." Her eyes widened, but she didn't back down. Instead, she doubled down, accusing me of forging the deeds, of conspiring with the county, of everything short of stealing her firstborn. Hargrove, sweating bullets, excused himself, muttering about looking into it. That's when the twist came, a soft knock at the door. I opened it to find Mrs. Ellis, the elderly librarian from town, clutching a manila folder. Her frail frame trembled with indignation. "I heard about your trouble, James," she said, her voice sharp despite her age. "I did some digging at the county archives. That Daniels fellow, he's been running scams for years, selling land he doesn't own. Karen's not the first he's duped." She handed me the folder, filled with records of Daniel's past frauds court cases, complaints, even a mugshot. Karen snatched the folder, her face contorting as she read. For a moment, I thought she'd explode, but then her fury turned on me again. "This changes nothing," she screamed. "I paid for this land, and I'm taking it. You think you can scare me with your fancy job and some old lady's papers?" Mrs. Ellis bristled, but I put a hand on her shoulder, keeping my cool. "Ms. Whitaker," I said, "you've been conned. I'm sorry for your loss, but this ranch is mine. Take it up with Daniels, or take it to court. I'll be ready." Her eyes burned with hate, but she stormed out, vowing to sue me into oblivion. Days turned to weeks, and Karen made good on her threat. She filed a lawsuit, claiming ownership and accusing me of fraud. The town buzzed with gossip. Some pitted her, others laughed at her audacity. I wasn't worried. My work with the Supreme Court had taught me how to navigate legal battles, and my documents were ironclad. But Karen's relentless campaign petitions, social media rants, even picketing outside the county office started to wear on me. She painted herself as a victim, a hard-working woman cheated by a corrupt system. Her face, twisted with rage in every post, became a local meme. Then came the second twist. At the courthouse, waiting for our hearing, a young woman approached me. She was thin, nervous, with eyes that darted like a cornered animal. "I'm Karen's daughter, Lily," she whispered. "I'm so sorry for what she's doing. She's always been like this, bullying people, demanding her way. But this time I think she's scared. She put everything into that scam. She's broke now." Lily's voice cracked, and I saw the weight of years spent under Karen's shadow. "I just wanted you to know she's not all bad. She's just lost." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to hate Karen, to see her crushed by her own arrogance. But Lily's words stirred something else, pity, maybe, or the ghost of empathy. Still, I had to protect my home. The hearing was brutal. Karen's lawyer threw every trick in the book, but my evidence was unshakable. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a gavel like a hammer, ruled in my favor. The ranch was mine, always had been. Karen's claim was dismissed, and she was ordered to pay court costs. Outside the courthouse, Karen stood alone, her face a mask of defeat. The fire in her eyes was gone, replaced by a hollow, desperate look. I approached her, not out of triumph, but because Lily's words still lingered. "Karen," I said softly, "I'm sorry you got scammed. But this land is my life. You can rebuild. Start over." She didn't respond, just turned and walked away, her shoulders slumped under the weight of her choices. Weeks later, I heard she'd left town, chasing another opportunity in some far-off city. Lily stayed, working at Mrs. Ellis's library, trying to carve out a life free of her mother's chaos. The ranch was quiet again, the hills blooming with wildflowers, the sky vast and forgiving. I'd won, but the victory felt bittersweet. Karen's fury, her loss, her daughter's quiet courage, they reminded me that even the most hateful faces hide stories of their own. Sometimes, justice isn't about crushing someone. It's about letting them face the consequences of their own making. Yindi.